Great.
Hello.
All right. Hi, everyone.
Thanks for being here. I have to say, I'm just really happy to be here because we moved to Philly like
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Yeah. And we haven't.
4 years ago.
4 years ago. Yeah. And we're still getting to know the kind of like creative tech scene here. And it's just nice to be in a room full of people who are also doing like creative tech and projection mapping. So, yeah. Awesome.
We are Spatial Pixel. I'm William.
I'm Violet.
So we're happy to show you some of our work today and a platform we're in the middle of building. We're both recovering architects. We've been in academia and the tech industry. I've had kind of a wandering career from teaching structural engineering and architectural design to being a software engineer to a product director at several tech companies, from VR and real estate marketing to cloud computing to sustainability to Web3 and blockchain. So I think I have like all the buzzwords like as they were happening, and so then Violet and I started Spatial Pixel last year. Yeah. And I teach a course at Columbia University called Spatial Artificial Intelligence.
Cool. Yeah, and likewise, I spent a ton of time in tech. I was director of product at Google Sidewalk Labs, if you know that company. But after looking at a screen for a very long time on a computer, I was like, this is not what I should be doing with my life. And so a lot of what we're trying to do with this platform and with our company is trying to make interactions where we're not looking at a computer. And we like this idea that spatial computing doesn't have to be glasses, that it can actually be projected in our environment where we both see the same thing, where I'm not seeing a different reality than you.
Yeah, spatial computing for your space, not for your face. And so our open source platform, well, it will be open source later this month. There's a lot of cleanup to do before that. Is called Procession, and I come from a school of creative computing similar to Emil. When I was in architecture school, I was introduced to processing out of the MIT Media Lab, and so entered creative tech that way. So if you're familiar with processing or P5.js, we call this Procession because one, it uses P5.js as its rendering engine, but two, it's kind of a procession of ideas that you're inputting into it. And it has a natural language programming interface. So we actually use modern LLMs to facilitate a kind of programming experience that allows you to talk to the computer, but not just talk to the computer and generate what you might normally think of as interactive graphics, but also integrate a lot of the kind of sensors and technology you need for spatial computing. And we hope to do this with like low-cost commodity hardware. So like, $30 webcams, projectors, Arduinos, like things like that. And so,
I think one of the things that we would run into in our classes, like if you teach a physical computing class, or I teach a class that's about spatial user experience, students would spend so much of the semester trying to get a hand tracking library to work, or to get the RFID to read. And so we just recognized that a lot of what needed to happen was integrating these different libraries. Now that you have natural language with large language models, it becomes a lot easier to just string those together.
Yeah, totally. And it's similar to what processing did when Ben and Casey created it at the Media Lab. They had trouble getting students to like writing OpenGL straight out. It's like really tedious, right? But if you have that same model, but it's just in simplified Java, like it works really well. And so, instead of spending 80% of your time trying to get, an Arduino to work, now you can actually spend time on your concepts. And so we're going to demo the platform, 2 demos. One is just the general platform, and then another is this painting that you see off to the side, which I know you're all curious about hearing about. We'll talk about that painting in a moment. It's by a well-known local Philly mural artist. But here we go. Did you want to do this one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
I can just.
Okay, let's just start. Circle. And I'm just curious, by like show of hands, how many folks have been using ChatGPT or other programming tools? Yes. How many folks have been using it to do things like? Has anyone used it with P5.js before? It's awesome with P5.js. So that's actually kind of how we stumbled into this. Is like, oh, it's really great at writing code. Let's see. Can you make this 1/10 the size? But one of the things that we and put it at the center. So all this is doing right now is talking to OpenAI. We're rendering it, and it knows that it can access things like P5.js. One thing that we like about this is that we can actually come in here and just change the code directly as well. So if I know programming, I can also do that. But we also have this procession. I can go back in time. Oh, actually, I liked it when it was big. Bounce around. But you can start to speak in plain language. It's a faster way to iterate, right? Now I can ask it to be faster or whatever.
Yeah. And the inference abilities of the language model, like, allow you to say things like this, and it infers that you mean the yellow circle in the previous prompt. So it starts to get really convenient that way.
And so one thing that's also nice about this is then we can start to do more interesting things when we aren't just thinking about P5.js, but maybe we want to use the speech detection, or we want to do sound, or we want to track our hands. So let me actually give you an example. Let's do this again. I like to do a refresh. Oh, is it? Oh, it's that webcam.
Is it that one? Oh, no. Is it? Which webcam are we looking at? Wait. Oh, we don't even know.
I was going to say the webcam looks very large.
There we go. Yeah, right? Oh, weird.
I don't know if it'll
It
track
is,
my
yeah.
hands. I can try.
Oh, I don't know.
Can you track my hands? I might have to stand back. Live demos, am I right? This is also like some of the. Some of what's been really interesting about trying to figure out how do you build it. Like, I think one of the things we're really interested in is how do you build a natural language programming environment where we can do things that are still deterministic, that behave like structured code, but also find ways to use natural language. Because I don't want to spend I want to have the nuanced control of code, but I also want to be able to like test things on the fly and speak in plain language. Like, hey, I want this to happen when my hand goes on the paper, versus me spending room.
your hands are dancing around.
Oh, sorry. Let's see. Can you just track the tips of my index finger? And I think what's nice about this is, as opposed to something like Midjourney, is that, we're working with actual code, so we can do things like, anything else you can do in web. We can run a timer. We can have triggers based on when someone goes in a specific area, or when a person is in front of a chair, or when a person is this far from a chair, that kind of thing. Make a big yellow line between my fingers. So you get a sense of how it works, and I can show you like a few different examples. Ooh, limits between my pinching. So maybe what I'll do is I'll show example of a few examples over here. Where you can show them.
Sure. Cool. We didn't quite get this working the way, but you see what's happening, right? So now I have my I think it's having trouble with the light.
Yes, this is another great thing about. I mean, anyone who does like hand tracking, body tracking, anything, it's all about what does your camera see. So if it's tracking our hands,
It's stretching you guys
and it's
out.
very dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very dark in here. It's not going to see your hands. So it's all
Yeah.
about like environmental controls.
And so we can do even audible things like, can you make a tone based on the length of the line?
So audio's into the libraries, so are you loading other libraries? Like, it's doing on file?
Yes. So I think that's where we're trying to figure out what's the right determinism, where like we have set libraries we know work in a very structured way, so we can use things like transcription from speech. We can do things with face tracking. So it only tracks speech when it sees a face, or it only transcribes, or it only speaks back. So like all of those capabilities for interactive media, I feel like are really powerful.
Huge.
But it's like integrating all of them is the worst. Really.
Yeah, currently we have a few so we have a few libraries already built into it. There's several of the media pipe libraries from Google. So hand landmarking, face landmarking, face detection, object detection. Some of them work better than others. This is face landmarking. So I think I have it set here, like the last prompt is like when I open my mouth, when it will make a sound when I open my mouth. So like, so not only does it, yeah. So, oh yeah, the white circle. Oh yeah, that's right.
Everyone's like, sit, what are you two doing?
Yeah. So the idea is like, if you can start to get to a place where you can refer to things in the real world and just sort of forget that the webcam and the projector are there, like that's ultimately where we want to go. And so other libraries is the P5JS sound library. I've hooked up Tesseract.js just the other day for OCR. We have a couple more, but we're going to try to formalize how libraries are loaded and open that up so we can build a community of contributors rather than us sort of doing it all ourselves. And part of the challenge is like maintaining this interactive environment running all the time and then trying to maintain the state of all of these libraries, both the loading but also the interactive state, which is a little tricky sometimes. And then trying to negotiate with the LLM. It's like, what's better to hard code versus let the LLM generate from scratch versus like we coach the LLM on what the interface looks like and then it writes the code from there. And so Violet's about to show you a kind of more advanced demo over here involving the painting, although
It's fine, it's just that the cord for these projectors are always need a little bit of finesse. I basically just wanted to give you the sense that, what you were seeing over there, I think in many ways you're seeing a kind of like the quick rudimentary prototyping. But we also wanted to show that you can actually do more sophisticated work with projection mapping and working with like real paintings and such. So you see here, I'll have to have William show you Meg Seligman's work after this. She's this amazing mural artist here in Philadelphia. If you've seen like the common threads or like a lot of the murals on Broad Street. We've recently started working with her and it's been like just amazing. I mean, she painted a chicken lady. Like, look at this. This is phenomenal. But you can see that the prompts here in relatively plain language. You know, if I hover on a chick, can you make that chick a random color? And so these are like little chicks that are painted. Or you see, you know, this is kind of electric interaction that I programmed. So the types of things that you might program in P5.js or in another environment or in just like a web, you might do with a web rendering, you can now do. It's like that ability to control these things. Yeah, so. Great.
Did you want to show any of the others from the?
I don't have them.
Yeah, I don't have them skewed. Okay.
Do you want to?
No. Just move along in the presentation.
Yeah, I was going to show a couple more things.
Yes, how does it see it? Was that pre-map shapes, and you said you wouldn't see that shape?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah, these are essentially we like have an SVG here that's getting mapped to it. We tried a lot of things with computer vision where, you know, the ideal scenario is you point a camera, it labels it automatically, it draws the outlines. The real fact of the matter that is even with like the most cutting edge, like segment anything from Meta, it's still too rough to look good. So if you're like actually going to go to a museum or something, you're going to still want the boundaries. Maybe the next 5 years. Okay. While that is going, shut that for now. I was going to show some. Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to follow along with the product and its development, it's at spatialpixel.com/procession. We have a Discord, and then the app itself is hosted online. You'll need an OpenAI API key to run it, but there's no backend or anything. Like everything runs in your browser. So all your projects are stored in your browser, like in the local storage. So don't clear cache. But we're working on it.
Cool. The other big project, along with working with Meg Seligman at a new museum, is we've been building a programmable space for the School of Visual Arts in New York. So we'll have a space there where the whole aim is to help their interaction design program build with these kind of multimodal AI tools out of the computer. So how do interaction designers start to build things that are in a room, so where the computer is like, the interaction is in the physical space with people versus me looking at an individual computer. I was going to show some example student projects real quick. Let's see if the audio runs. So these are just some of the projects that our students did with the procession environment. And what's really cool is like we can also connect this with things like if this then that. So, you know, you can do something where you point at a computer and it sends an email based on what you say. So I think it can be really like beyond just interaction, it can be like really useful. This student actually works for the archive, so he was trying to find a way to quickly archive his work digitally. Great. And then, let's see. Oh, if you're teaching any classes and you want to use this, please let us know. There are some classes currently using this. And we're continuing to develop tutorials so that it's a little bit easier for someone to get started. I also wanted to show.
The one in the previous one?
Yes. Oh, this.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, last video. But this is quality.
Industry has spent decades trying to
This is
get us
kind of our
to
promo video from last year. What are we doing? He got what he deserved.
The index fingers of my hands.
At Spatial Pixel, we're building a new kind of spatial computer. One for your space, not for your face.
Great, but can you make these white and draw a line between the 2 points on my index fingers?
It's a spatial computer meant for creativity that anyone can use. And it starts with our bodies, not buttons.
Great. Can you now make a noise like an oscillator based on the length of the line?
It's controllable with plain language. And it's one that keeps up with our wild ideas. For creative coders, artists, and designers, it helps us explore concepts without worrying about the code. It can respond to everyday things. Use our voice.
Hello.
Interact with drawings. And most importantly, interact with each other, not a screen. But just how many ways that we interact with the world could it really use?
What is it? When both of my index fingers are on a key, drop the octave.
We hope by moving computing out of the box and into our environments, that we can see less of a virtual world and be more present with those around us in the real one.
Thank you for watching our advertisement. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really interested if anyone wants to use this, or if anyone wants to be part of the open source community developing this. I think, we're really interested both in interactive media, but also like real, also modes that interaction designers might use to build programs that supplant us spending all our time looking at computers.
Yeah, and one key thing there is like using multiple cameras and multiple projectors, and so it seems that TouchDesigner might be a great integration for someone to help us build. All right, so thanks very much. Okay, yeah.